Okay. In today's class, I'm going to explain in C++, okay? Access specifiers. What are access specifiers? It's a very important topic. Why? Because whenever we are studying about any programming languages, how the programming language means, maybe C++, Java, Python, in that what happens, while we are studying about classes and methods and objects, okay? So that moment, that class and its attributes and methods, how we can access them. That is the main important point. So that accessing of that class attributes are nothing but variables and objects, methods. Okay, how to access them? Whether you can access them publicly means outside of the class. If you are not able to access them outside of the class, so then that access level, what we need to provide, which type of access level we need to provide. If I want to access all the class attributes, methods, so even the outside of the class, which type of access level I need to provide. So they are called access specifiers. Okay, understood that. So let us, very important, access specifiers. Access specifiers control. Access specifiers will control what? How the members means class members, either the attributes and methods of a class can be accessed. I told you that in the previous class, every class has somewhat attributes and methods. Attributes are nothing but variables, class variables, which are declared inside of the class. Variables declared inside of the class are called attributes, and methods. Okay. So how they can be accessed. Okay. So these are attributes and methods are called class members. Okay. So access specifiers will provide the control level. How can we access them? Okay. So access specifiers control how the members means attributes and methods of a class can be accessed. So these access specifiers, they help us to protect data and organize the code. Okay, access specifiers also, they will help us to protect the data. Okay, so that that data can't be accessed by anyone. Okay, only the right parts can be seen or changed. Only means access specifiers, they will help us to protect the data by that only the important parts, only the needy parts, important parts, only the needful data that can be seen and that can be changed also by the providing of the access level. Okay. And the rest of the part of the code that can't be seen, that will not be seen by you. Okay, so that access specifiers, they will provide such an access level, means it protects the data and some portion of the code which is useful to the client, means customer. So that needful information will be shown to the customer. Okay, it can also be changed. Okay, so let us see using what are the main types of access specifiers. Let us check back that the public keyword is an access specifier. So if we use public, it is a keyword. So whenever we use this public keyword, it is an access specifier. If public means what, that class attributes. Class attributes means class methods, class variables. They can be publicly accessible inside of the class, outside of the class. So means what? The members are all public, which means that they can be accessed and modified from outside of the code. outside of the class. So public means what? The class members methods, they can be accessed and modified, can be changed from outside of the code, means outside of the class. Okay. So that is called public. Okay. So let us see. So this is what? Class, my class. My class is a class name created with the keyword class. So the my class is declared. Okay. And declared inside of this flower brace. This is the starting brace. This is the closing brace. And the class terminated with the semicolon. Inside of this class, public is a, what is public? It is a class level. Okay. This is class level. It is called access specifier. Means this class and inside of that class members and methods, they can be accessed outside of the class. This public means, but whenever we declare any class as public, and this colon is very important. Okay. So now what do you mean of this? This class level, access level is what? Public means its attributes, class attributes means variables, and its methods, they can be accessed publicly outside of the class. Okay. Here inside of this class members, whatever you write. Let us see here. So now try to understand this code. So see here what happened. This is what important include IO stream. This is library, input output stream library, that is very important to be included. And then IO stream library will be used to work with input and output functions like cout scene to see the result on the display. Cout will be used to get the user input. Scene will be used. Using namespace standard, this statement is very compulsory. Here standard is a library, mostly used to keep the names for variables while we want to work with names for variables, methods. Okay. So that names, whenever we are using the names for variables, methods, so this standard library to be used. Now my class is class name declared with class keyword, class keyword. Inside of that, the class public access level declared as public. So public is what? Access specifier. This is the class attribute. X is a variable declared inside of the class. X is a variable declared inside of the class. Now it is called class attribute. So don't confuse your attribute variable, nothing but all are equal. So public attribute. Attribute is what here? Int X is a variable, means class attribute variables all are equal. Don't confuse. Huh? So X is a variable. So it is class variable, means class attribute declared with the data type int. So now we can say that this attribute X is public, means I can access this attribute variable outside of the class also. Outside of the class, where I can use the class declared and class close. So now this attribute X I can use outside of the class, where inside of the main function, okay, object created for the class. I told you that if we want to access attributes and method, we can access them by creating of the object. This is the object name. Any name you can keep, your name, my name, XYZ. My object, you can keep somewhat, okay. You can change this as any, okay. Object name, variables name, you can keep as per your wish. So my class object, how the object will be created. First of all, we need to write the class name as it is, class name, then after object name, object name. So obj any object name. So suppose like this object name. So this is the object. So otherwise you can write like this suitable object suitable object int. So what do you mean of this? This is an object created for this class. Class name, any class name, any class name. If you change this as class name, huh? Suppose class name. So if you have changed my name Vasu, there's no any problem. Vasu. Vasu is a class. Now, whenever Vasu is a class created with class name, so attribute X. Now, if I want to access this attribute, first of all, I need to create a object. That object for what class? Vasu class. So while creation of the object, I need to mention the class name first. So there is a difference between Vasu is a class name, my class. So as it is class name, you need to mention just before the object. So here class is what? Any name you can keep Vasu. So Vasu is a class. Understood that? So for this class, Vasu, object, here object name, any name you can keep. Just I have written object int. Why? Because object created for this Vasu class. So you write like this object VAS. What do you mean of this? So for this Vasu class, object created. Understood that? So for this Vasu class, object was XYZ, your name, my name, XY, but suitable name. So it indicates that object of what Vasu class. Okay, now create an object of my class. My class name I have changed. Huh? Now, tags the access attributes and set values. One attribute declared but not defined. Defined means whenever you keep e is equal to 9. So now you can simply say that this 8 value, integer value assigned to this x variable. It is also called attribute, class attribute. But here I have assigned the value, but I don't want to assign the value here. Okay. So just keep declare and close with the semicolon. Now I want to access this attribute means variable by this object. So how this attribute can be accessed? By calling up the object. So object name I have changed. Object was so object. So you will get error. Why? Because here you have used small o. So here is capital O. So you convert this into small o. So object was as it is you need to write dot x. So I told you that all the class attributes, methods, they can be accessed either by creating the object with the object name by using of dot operator, otherwise with the class name. Here, object created, this is the object created, and by that object, I want to access this X attribute, okay, because it is declared public, so I can access it outside of the class. So class is closed here with semicolon. So outside of the class, inside of this main function, I am accessing this attribute because your access specifier is public. Then is equal to 5. 15 is equal to what? 15 is a value. 15 is an integer value. So now if you want to get printout, use cout. This is an object which is part of your input output stream. It's a library. It has so many objects. Okay. So if you want to see, okay. So now my object, you will get error because your object name changed. This is what your obj Vasu. That is the object name dot x. Now you run this code, you will get the result as 15. Okay, you are getting. So now if you want to keep somewhat text in between them, to keep in double quotation, keep a string x value. X value, okay, x value is equal to. This is a string. In C++, string always must be kept inside of double quotation marks. Whenever you run, you will get a text here, x value is equal to, x value is equal to, okay? So here, I need to keep insertion operator. So without the insertion operator, this is called insertion operator. Okay, you are able to see the value, x value. X value is a string. From here to this is the string. In C++, string will be represented in double quotation marks. So x value is equal up to this is a string. Okay. So if you now, whenever you call that x attribute with the object name by keeping a dot operator, so your result will be, you can see the result on the screen. Then after return zero statement, this is the final state. Then after there is no any statement. This statement indicates that the after return zero, there is no any statement. This is the last statement. It means the function, main function is closed with this statement. Okay. So, so this is called your public access specifier. If I want to close this total code, you delete the total code. Okay. Now you write the code. First of all, hash. Okay. Hash include, okay, IO stream. Okay. Now this is no need, IO stream. This statement is very important using namespace standard, STD. Okay. Using namespace standard terminate. So what do you mean of this? I told you that if you want to use names for any variables, objects, methods, so this standard library that is to be used compulsory. It is to be used very compulsorily. Next, come here, create a class name first, class keyword, then class name, just any was, whatever. That is up to you. Class name. So this is open brace, class open brace, class close brace, because you have started the class with the brace, open brace. The class to be terminated semicolon. Now Vasu is a class declared with a class keyword. That is very important. You can write here declaration of the class. As I told you that these classes all are free classes under my Lakshmi Narayan Krishna Foundation. So price of a week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Today is Friday, 18 July 2024. So 8 o'clock class will be conducted sharply YouTube, sorry, Zoom, okay, in Zoom platform. And that will be recorded and kept in my YouTube channel so that that can be used further to any other, okay. So if anyone to attend my classes, he can attend freely. And recorded classes, if anybody wants to access recording classes, you pay minimal value to my Goshala. The Goshala is at Chakicharla. So if you want to access recording videos, you please, I request you that please donate somewhat minimal charges to Chakicharla Goshala, and I will provide the link to you so that you can understand all my recorded classes, Java, Python, C, C++, somewhat other languages also. Okay, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Okay, these classes are very free classes. If anybody wants to attend my classes, directly you can join into my classes in Zoom platform. I have shared that link to all of you through different social media platforms. That is what Facebook, your Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, in different platforms. I have shared the link. Okay. So now see what happened. If you run this code, you will get error because just you have declared the class. Just you have declared the class, but declaration of a class. Okay. Now definition of the class. What is that definition? Inside of this class, you need to define somewhat attributes, methods like that. So now class C. This is the class. So first of all, I told you that class attributes, today's class is what you know, topic is what you know, class, public specify, access specifiers, specifiers, access specifiers. So these all classes are being conducted under my Lakshmi Narayan Krishna Foundation. These are free classes conducted thrice of your Lakshmi. Lakshmi Narayana Krishna Foundation. So 3 days of a week. Friday, Saturday, Sunday at 8 p.m. 0800 p.m. in Zoom. Okay. The Zoom link I have provided. I have mentioned single line comment. These two forward indicate that single line comments. So now these 3 lines statements, instructions statement, both are same. They will not be read by C++ compiler. Okay. C compiler starts to read the code from here, include as IO stream. So whenever it reads this line, it feels that, okay, IO stream library is included. So whenever you want to work with that is what display, and if you want to get the user input, so the C out scene objects will be this IO stream library it has. Okay. So now this class declaration of a class. Then what next step? Public access level. What is the access level of? So suppose if you want to create an attribute, suppose in X, it is an attribute. Which attribute? X is a variable. So you can say that attribute means one variable. Rocket means attribute is what? Variable declared inside of the X is a variable. So there's generally inside of a class, it is called attribute, class attribute. So it is integer data type, but I have not mentioned any value. Okay, whenever if I have mentioned any value, assigned any value, now you can say that class attribute defined inside of the class. But I don't want to assign any value. Now we can say that attribute variable declared, but not assigned any value. Not assigned any value. Understood that? Now come to the point next. So now what? How this attribute X can be accessed. So how this X variable can be accessed outside of the class. That is very important. So if you want to access this X attribute variable means attribute outside of the class, you need to first declare public. Public, what do you mean this public? Then after column. That's very important. Means this public column is called your access specifier. Access specifier. So it specifies the access level of how you can access attributes and methods. Okay. See, method. If I want to write any method, void method name. Okay, display. This is a method name. Okay. Now method, once it is declared, so inside of this class, one method is declared. You can say that method declaration. Method declaration. Declaration means, what do you mean of that? Declaration means inside of this method, I have not written any statements. Every statement is an instruction. I have not written. So method declared. Method name is display. So void type. This method is which type? Void type. What do you mean of void? Means it will, this method display will not return it will not return anything. It is just displays. There is no any calculations. Just displays. So always the method must be terminated with the parenthesis brackets, either the method or function. Here it is a method. Generally it is a function, but declared inside of a class. So that's why it becomes this display function becomes what? It is a method because it is part of your class. So it is method is void type, means it will not return anything. So you can write comment here. This method will not return is written not this method is not return type. Return type. What do you mean of not return type? It will not return anything. Huh? So one method is declared inside of the class because this is the class end. Inside of this class, inside of this Vasu class, one method declared, it is not non-return type. Method name display, one attribute means variable declared, it is not assigned with any. Now these two are called data members of this class. Now this variable X, this method can be accessed publicly outside of the class. That's it. Okay. So all these attributes and methods declared inside of the class, they are called members of the class. They can be accessed outside of the class because its access level you have specified public. You have not specified here private. Okay. If you have declared private, so they can't be accessed outside of the class. That is the security. Okay. So that access level provides the access level means security level because we have declared the class specifier as private. Understood that? Let us see. Now, first of all, let's do public. Then after we will see. Now, what happened? This X attribute means variable. It is not assigned with any value. Now, I want to assign the value. So, where should I go? This is the method. So, method is what? This is started, method started and closed inside of the class. A class closed. Now come down. So under this method, you write any statement. See out. If you want to see on the display, so keep a string inside of that. India is my country. Is my country. Okay. You write like this. This is the string kept inside of the. Okay. Understood that. So terminate with the semicolon. Now this, what happened? This statement will be displayed whenever we call this method. So because this is a void method, means it will not return anything, just displays. If you want to get any output, so that moment here, if you want to get any return type, so you need to declare them as integer type, float type, whatever. So that moment, then after you need to use return keyword. Here you need to use return keyword. That is very important. But it is a void type. I don't want to just, it will display this. Okay. Now, next word, as I told you that if you, how can you access this variable, this X, it is not defined with any value. So if you want to assign any value, otherwise if you want to access it, so where can I access them? How can I access them outside of the class? So outside the class int main function. Okay. Then after brace, close brace. Now come down. So this is outside class from here to here, here. From here after Vasu class, from here to here. This is class declared and closed. Now outside of the class means inside of this main function. Now I want to access this X attribute and I want to call this method so that this statement will be displayed because I have declared the attributes as public. So how can I access? First of all, I need to create an object. You mentioned here, create an object to access the attributes. That object always forward this class. While object creation, you need to mention the class name. First class name is Vasu in C++. Then after object, any object name, any name, object Vasu. Okay. So means the what do you mean of this? Object created for Vasu class. So this is the name of object. Now terminate this one. Next, once object is created, so I can call them the attributes. Attributes are what? Now you see out for to display the result on the screen, insertion operator. So I told you that this attribute and this method, display method, they can be accessed with the calling of with the help of this object by dot operator. Obj vasu dot x. See out. Okay. Otherwise, simply you can assign the value here. Okay. You can assign the value here. One is that you write, you see what happened here. You will get the error. Why? Because see, you have not mentioned the return statement. At the end of this, we need to help the compiler. See compiler, my dear compiler, this is the last statement. Then after there is no any statement. So we need to help the C++ compiler, C compiler, return 0. By this return 0 statement, it indicates that then after there is no any statement. Okay, understood that. Now you run this code. Okay. Still we are getting. So we will check back. Where is the error? That is not a problem. Don't worry. First, we need to how your this is what you know that this is what how this is an attribute, how it is being accessed outside of the class. Outside of the class means from this is total class declaration from up to this. Okay, understood that. So wherever error is there, we need to check back that first of all. So we are getting the error here. Why? Because try to understand. So once object created, no object Vasu. So what happened here? This value I have assigned here. So rather than while I want to call just you, okay, just you call this, but before this you define the value for obj vasu dot x is equal to 8. Understood that? What do you mean of this? Means x is what? It is an attribute declared inside of the class, Vasu class. X is declared but not assigned. But here you assign the value with the help of the object. Now you call that x. X is part of your this object. X is what? X is an attribute declared inside of the class. Now that X attribute is being called with the object name. What is our object name? Object Vasu. It is created for which class? Vasu class. Now run this code. Let us see whether if you will get the result, you are getting the result, okay? You are getting the result very well. So just before this, if you want to keep any string type of statement, you write in double quotation marks value. Simply you write value of X. Value of X. Then after, don't keep comma, otherwise you will get the error. If you give comma here, you will get the error. But then after, in this place, we need to give what? Insertion operator. Okay, still we are getting very nice value of X. So value of X we are getting, string we are getting. So if you want to get the result, we need to keep insertion operator. Now value of X is equal to the value stored in X. So value of X. So here keep is equal to, because up to here is a string. Up to from here to here, it is a string. Okay. Now you will get the result. Value of X is equal to 8. So now, but I want to call this result also. What is that? India is my country. It is a method declared, statement declared inside of this method. Now I want to call this method. So how can I call this method? Same. You call this cout is what? It is an object mostly used to display result on the screen. Then after obj Vasu dot method name is what? Display. What I told you that many times, what you know. So class attribute and then semicolon. So now class attribute is what? X. Method is display. And these are called data members, class members. Okay. They can be called with the object name dot, then after dot operator. So now under this display method, what is the statement? India is my country. This statement will be displayed because this method is what? Non-written type. So it will not return anything. Huh? You check back what happened here. So we are getting error. So we need to check back. Na? It is why we are getting error.